Hi everyone, my name is Meshak Masibo and welcome to Meet the Founder episode 3. Today I am happy and privileged and excited to introduce my guest, or rather our founder for the episode. His name is Francis Njue. He'll introduce himself and share a bit more about what he does and all that. But ideally he runs a company, rather a number of companies. The key ones that we'll talk about today is HPaysa and also HPass Global, and another one that I've learned called HTorex. So ideally, we just start with a round of introductions. So maybe Francis can just share who he is, what he does, and then we can continue from there.
Thank you so much, Meshak, for having me. As I've mentioned, my name is Francis. I'm an innovator, a Kenyan, a proud one, in fact. As you can see, I have my my badge with me. Um, I am an innovator in the tech space, and I focus on three major areas. One is tourism, so focusing more on tourism technology. Then on smart city technology, that is issues to do with smart access, smart mobility, and all that, innovating around the challenges that are facing that. And then finally, the financial technology. So those are the main three areas that I focus on.
Okay, amazing. I think also just starting from the companies I've mentioned, there's a trail of H, a lot of H. So I think ideally, as you tell us about the H, you can also tell us a bit about your background beyond now what you produced. Maybe your story. How did you get into entrepreneurship? How did it start? What was the motivation? Yeah, just bits about that. Yeah.
Well, quite interesting about how I started entrepreneurship. I always saw myself as an entrepreneur from way back. I think as way back as when I was in class 4, and especially in the line of tourism. I used to walk around 40 kilometers from home to go and see the tourists passing on the tarmac as they go to Mount Kenya, and I would really feel excited about it. So I think that drive started quite a while back, but the major one which threw me into technology, because I studied tourism in school, in campus. But now, when I joined tourism, luckily, I joined in the technology space. And this was in 2009 when I worked for a company that was predominantly using technology to get tourists to Kenya. So for the years that I worked in that company, we didn't have a walk-in. We just did technology, using Google search engine optimization. It was more of a manual process then, because there was, like this Facebook came the other day, all these nice tools that were not there at that time. I think the only thing we used to stream that time was Skype. That was the only thing that we used to chat and all that, and then Google Messenger. The rest were not there. So it was more of a manual but a digital thing. So we did a lot of work to ensure that at least we got tourists, and the company really grew. And then that got me the thrill of technology. Then I had an opportunity also to be trained by some of the best people, because the company was half owned by a Kenyan and an Israeli. So I got a lot of training from them, and I realized I think technology is really where I need to be. So I started now innovating around that.
Interesting. I think just to again just focus on some of those things. So in this journey of experimenting with technology and all that, have you experienced failure at a point? And also not just to focus on the negative, what can you say are maybe your three biggest successes like so far? If you to say, okay, so my journey so far, these are the, let's say, one or two biggest failures I've ever had, and these are the three biggest successes I've ever had. And sort of on the failures, what did you do to spring back? Yeah.
Oh, failure. I think failure for an innovator, because when you choose to become an innovator, then you're entering into an area where it's more of experimental. So everything is experiment, and you're trying to do things that people have not done. So it's you're more of an insane person, trying to do things that you only believe can be real, and probably nobody else believes in it. So you'll experience failure almost every morning. Like you'll fail at 6 a.m. and then you have to pick yourself at 7 a.m. just to keep yourself going. The biggest failure, I would say, is when we are launching Torex. because it was Torex was a more of a futuristic idea, which is still viable. Maybe I will not like disclose much, but it's in a space of tourism that nobody has ever thought about. And even I remember when I shared it with the Minister of Tourism then, Najib Balala, it was still a very foreign thing to him. I even shared with a team with in World WTO, World Tourism Organization. Again, they were like, okay, we really don't understand this, but it's something that we feel if it's carefully done, it can be. But we tried. We started working on it. I brought a team together. We worked on it for, I think, 6 months. And then there was no funding. So I was like literally funding the project. And I think the thing did not go through because of funding. Because I think for any startup, for any innovator, funding is critical. Because you need to maintain these people. You need to make sure that at least they meet the basic. They are fed, they spend in a good place, and they're able to meet their basics. So if you're not able to do that, then it becomes very difficult to maintain a team. So the dream is there, but yes, it didn't take off because of funding. That was the biggest failure. Of course, it really affected me. But then I had to bounce back with is I tried to see of other problems that we can solve. Like if this one is not working, what is the other problem I can solve probably easily with less resources? And that is how we bounced back from Torex now to HPaysa. HPaysa has had its own successes. We were competing in 2021 with there was a Konza Innovation Challenge, which attracted 107 companies from Kenya and Israel. We scooped the top prize in Smart Access category. And we were crowned by the then Minister of ICT, Joe Moshero. So that was a great success for that project. Having come from like a couple of 1 year ago, you had failed on another project, and then you doubt yourself, then you come back here and create another solution, and it works, and you win a prize. And even as we speak right now, we are also running through an accelerator program, a justice accelerator program, because HPaysa has more to do with data privacy, security, and smart access, all that. So it attracted some good attention from an organization called HIL in Netherlands. It's called HIL Justice. So we are running an accelerator program, which is ending in November. So those successes tells you're doing something, at least it gives the motivation to keep doing more. And while we were doing that, we were now thinking, how do we get into fintech? And again, now that is where HPaysa was born. Yeah.
I think I'll just cut on that aspect now. Those very interesting successes and very, very, very hard failures to spring back from, but you've managed. You've in one way or the other, you managed to bounce back from those experiences. So I'd say like maybe just to again on that concept of, because ideally I think as a society we talk a lot about success, not enough about failure, which hinders success in the long run. So let's say when you what motivates like that what the, because I also see usually share a lot about tenacity and grit and all that. So what in terms of a mindset, what mindset do you adopt? Let's say someone has started something and they've sort of failed from it. So in terms of a mindset, what kind of mindset do you adopt to be able to bounce back and create all this? And also not just mindset in terms of failure, but also mindset in terms of success, because you've also experienced a lot of success as an individual, met a lot of people in government who maybe others may not ever be able to meet in their whole life. How do you handle success with a sober mind? What has informed the soberness in terms of how you handle success and the grit in terms of how you bounce back from failure?
Thank you so much. Let me start with success. The mindset I have for success was instilled to me by the former president, Honorable Mwai Kibaki. I never had a chance in life to meet him, but I met somebody who worked closely with him, who was an ambassador in his government. And he told me something that Honorable Mwai Kibaki used to do, that every time they would succeed on something, and then you start telling Mwai Kibaki about the successes, he would stop you and tell you, forget about the success. We have had it.
Yeah.
Now let's focus on the next big thing we need to do. Let's focus on the next problem we need to solve. And that has been my mindset all through. I've met the President Uhuru Kenyatta, I've met President Ruto, and in all these conversations, even when I share I met them, that's it there. Like I've met them and that's it. Let me go back to my problem that I'm solving and start solving them. So that is the mindset that I would probably, I wish every innovator would have, because we are all, sometimes even when we raise some money, we get an investor, we all get excited about it and then probably spend a lot of time celebrating and doing all that. It's good to celebrate, but just make it very short so that you just jump into the next thing.
Okay.
In terms of bouncing back from challenges, challenges will always be there. And I think it's good to just have the tenacity to face them, because they will always come. Especially if you're innovating or you're trying something that people have never tried, you just have to be ready to fail 999 times and probably succeed on one. My mindset on that is this. I fail a lot. I've failed. I still believe I'll fail in some of my future projects. So failure is normal. You will fail. But my mindset has always been, if whatever I was working on that has failed did not work, I am certain that the next thing will work.
Yeah.
So that is always my thing. Like, yeah, that failed, good. But the next one, I know it will work. Then if that one fails again, I repeat the cycle. So I'll keep on doing that until something works.
Yeah, just also to bits just from what you're sharing, I see that a lot of your success, or rather a lot of the success you've experienced in entrepreneurship has largely come from a point of networking and learning from people in certain positions, with certain amounts of information or knowledge. So maybe you can give us maybe like a 2-tip or something. I think I'm thinking of the person who's listening. Maybe they've just started their first one, and they haven't never been taught the value of networking and meeting the right people and be able to have the right conversations, and how can catapult someone to a certain level of success in what they're doing. So perhaps maybe you can say maybe 2 things. Like, let's say you say 2 or 3 things that say your networking hacks. Let's say I'm here, I've just approached, I'm in a room full of potential funders who want to fund my project. I want them to know about me, to fund my project, or fund my business or startup and all that. How would you, let's say if it was you, how would you go about that in a way that can be simplified in this context? Yeah.
Your network is definitely your net worth.
Yeah.
So you need to have the right people. And I normally say it is your business to broadcast your talents. Nobody will discover your talents when you're seated somewhere, or you have to go and tell the people, or you have to show it, or you have to prove it. And that is how I do it. And how I do it, I'm quite strategic on how I do my things. I try to go up rather than go at the same level. What I mean by this is, I will see a need or an idea that maybe a president or a CEO or somebody who is high in authority needs, and I'll have the the courage to face them and tell them, sir, madam, if you can do this, things can change for you. And I started doing this a while back. And that is what has helped me to network with very many people. Because most of the people go with the mindset of asking, what I want to benefit. But if you go there with the mindset of, I've seen this opportunity for you. If you change these things, you'll work like this. It works best, because now you're not going there as, in quote, a beggar. You're going there as a potential partner who can help you do something. And that has helped me to, get to connection with people that are quite high, even in government, in prostatus, in private sector, because I don't go with them first. I'll never come to you and tell you, I need your help. I'll first tell you, this is what you need. If you do these things, you'll change. And it tells you that you've taken time to think about that person, And in most cases, if it's somebody who is high in authority, they never get this from the people around them. So when you tell them they are a bit, they even take you more seriously. They see you from a very different perspective. Yeah. And it can be anything. If you're innovating in fintech and probably somebody is suffering and is a political person and he needs some help, you just need to throw a word to them. Hey, you know what? You're going for this political office. If you use this strategy, it will work. It's so different from the field that you're working in, but you've seen an insight that can help them. Then by the time you come to help, you need to come to seek help from them. They're like, you helped me by the way. Let me help you out also in this. Yeah. So that is the way you network. Because even investors have problem. I totally believe everybody is stuck in a way. So if you just solve that problem for that person, it could not be related to your field, but you just solve them because you saw it. You'll be shocked how they'll open up and start supporting you. Yeah.
Amazing. I think what I'm hearing from you is the idea that if you are approaching someone, even if it's an investor or even a potential client, it's thinking about what they need to accomplish in that particular or in the where they are in life. Because I think I'm understanding that you're saying everyone is at different stages. So maybe you might look at someone and say, okay, this one, for example, you look at Francis and say Francis has met all these people, has accomplished all these things. So it means it's I look at you from the point of the things you've accomplished and the things you have instead of the things that someone needs. For example, let's say if the investor needs to show that they're pumping money somewhere, or that they're meeting, if it's an organization, they're meeting their objectives and all that. So I think just because it seems like they're very valuable insight that you're sharing, I think they're a bit over tangent, but I think still a lot of value that can come from that. So in terms of identifying the need, let's say someone let's just the idea that you're a startup, let's say you're trying to sell a product, for example. You're trying to sell a product that, let's say for example, you're selling high-end furniture to people in high-end areas. Let's use that example. So how would you go about now, how do we phrase it? Like identifying, connecting what you're trying to build and this other person. So you just to narrow down the conversation on identifying the need, and the need that now starts the conversation or sparks the conversation. What informs? Do you research on them online? Do you ask them? How do you identify that need? Yeah.
As I mentioned, first people buy you before they buy whatever you're selling. So, excuse me. So you'll need first to position yourself as with some certain values, rather than the product you're selling, because furniture. People can get furniture from anywhere. If somebody is funding a high-end furniture, you can actually import from wherever or can buy from whichever shop. So you need to come up with a solution that says, and a value that is beyond the furniture. So let me say that. People work with relationships, and also people do business with the people they know. So they have to know you and know your values, and then they can buy from you. Until that happens, then you still have a challenge to push products. Number two, people don't want to be sold to. And the most reason why we don't buy even from hawkers in the street is because they come selling. But you'll buy from something because either of your pain, you need it the most, and number two is because you have a need that is maybe of a class or something. So if you go to these high-end people and tell them, you know what, now this kind of houses, I'll fit with this kind of furniture. Now that will start exciting them. And if you're in any industry, you must come out as an expert. Nobody wants to deal with a mediocre. You need to come out as an expert and say, even if you don't have all the information, at least you have bits of very critical information that they need. Maybe this person has an issue with his health, maybe, or he sits in one position for a long time. Then selling them a recliner would be far much better, because you're not selling them value based on their health, or they are in a small place. Maybe your house is smaller, and then you need to fit a lot of things. So coming up with innovative ways to tell them, okay, if you can do some corner
Yeah.
like furniture that fit right at that corner. It would work best. So you have to come out as an expert. You have to come out somebody who is selling more than just the furniture. Yeah.
Amazing. I think just on that whole concept of value and delivering value to others and all that, I just want to pick on that now to now go to HPaysa, which I think is something very interesting to me as one of the products that you developed and something that you are using to, in my words, revolutionize how we lend, how digital lending happens and all that. So it's fairly new as well. I think it's something new, so it's being introduced and all that. So maybe you can tell us about HPaysa. What is HPaysa? Is it HPaysa, and how do you pronounce it, and how do you access it? How does it? Yeah, how can someone use it, and what exactly is it? Yeah.
So HPaysa is a solution that is, maybe I would say, harmonizing emotions between people who know each other. In this market, our country, Kenya, there's a common saying that if you loan somebody money, especially your friends and colleagues and family, you loan money that you can do away with. And you probably forget about that money. If it's 2,000, that's it, like it's done. That money, I'll probably never get it. And when we were getting into the fintech, we realized there's a big gap in that sector. And I remember one of the companies we approached was, of course, our big telco, Safaricom, because they have M-Pesa, and we are like, we have this idea, and we can partner with you and run with it and launch it together. And I think the team that we got did not really grasp what we were talking about. Because again, I mentioned innovation is about insanity. Only you know about it, only you believe in it. So HPaysa was born from that concept, and we realized what is the major thing that people suffer from. One of them is I'm not able to track my money. So when I give out money, I probably forget. Who did I say? Which friend, which family member, which colleague? I don't even remember when they said they will refund. I don't, like, there's so much. So he said, can you create a tool that tracks that money? It gives you all that data of how much was it, when did this guy say we will return, all those parameters. Number two is what is the legal ground in case this guy doesn't pay? So can we have a smart contract that at least will be easily signed? I don't have to get a paperwork done. I can just sign it on my phone, and then the contract is sealed, and it's there, and the signature is there, all the details that's required. So we did a contract. Of course, it had to be reviewed by a lawyer, so that it can be something that's legal. You can present it to in court or wherever. Then the third thing was, and which is now the most emotional bit, is when people are asking back their money. It's very painful, because sometimes we just want to shut down and say, forget about it. But now, what if this solution or this platform reminds people and request this money on your behalf? So we harmonized that, and we created a solution that has three main key elements, which is tracking, smart contract, and reminders and demands. So from the platform, which is currently an app available in Play Store, on early access at the moment. So people can access it, people can use it as it is. We have people using it to transact, send money to their friends. We had one case study recently where one of our clients was outside the country, and he needed to support his friend with some money. And he was calling me and telling me, oh, Francis, can you quickly put together a contract? I'm not a lawyer, so there's no way I could put together a contract. But I told them, by the way, why are you struggling? Why don't you use HPaysa? I said, like, it will work, It will move 100,000. I said, it can move even more. I was like, okay, they moved the money. The guy was supported. He was supposed to refund the money, so he said, I'll refund on this time and all that. It worked quite easily for them. They got the contract. Each of them downloaded the contract. It worked for them. So that is a solution that we've provided in the market. It's very, very new. It's one of its kind in the market. It's a lot of work that has been put, because we've been developing it for the last 1 year and a month now, and we just went live 3 weeks, a month ago actually. So that is HPaysa, and we are looking forward for many people to use the platform. It's not expensive to use, and it's very easy to use. So anybody, anywhere can use it. Yeah.
Okay, amazing. I think that's a very, very unique, and I think I've mentioned it before, very unique idea and very unique concept, because ideally I'm understanding it as something that focuses on peer-to-peer lending in a very redefined way. So you've mentioned three things that are unique about the app, about the aspect of tracking. I think that's what I remember, the tracking, and then you also mentioned something about reminders.
Yeah.
So just about the tracking aspect. So I guess what, if I'm to understand you correctly, is this idea that you're helping someone know, okay, you maybe it can be someone you paid end month, you paid 50,000, 100,000 at the end of the month, then you give someone money, then you forget about it.
Yes.
So you come to a point where you have certain obligations where you need to pay something or someone or internet or whichever cost, and then you're not able to. So is that, you think that's what I'm thinking in terms of tracking? So I'm trying to say, is that what you mean by tracking, or what do you mean by it helps you track? What exactly does it? Is it the money? Is it your expenditure? What exactly is it tracking?
It tracks the money that you've given out to people, because as I mentioned, you might cannot be able to keep all these records of maybe 10, 20, 30 people, or even 5 people, and keep all that details. Like this one borrowed from me 2,000 shillings, and he said he will refund on 30th. This other one borrowed 500, and he said he wants to refund on this date. It's very hard to keep that track, because people will keep on borrowing you, especially if you have some financial stability or working somewhere. People know you as a rich person. So they'll definitely come to you, or even your colleagues could be stuck somewhere. It's very hard to keep that track. So this solution helps you to do that. It lists for you every single person that you have given out money, how much was it, when are they supposed to refund.
Amazing. You'll allow me to interrupt just a bit. So it also does something about reminding.
Yes.
So I know if anyone has ever used any of these digital loans, and the way they remind you is it can be very forceful, and sometimes they threaten you, and there are all of these things that come with reminders, and sometimes they have issues with the data commissioner and the different authorities saying they are contacting your contacts and the other contacts, and you're randomly there. And I know many people might relate to the idea that you're randomly there because a friend of yours somewhere borrowed a loan. You called and said they tell your friend to pay the loan before XY date, or will come after you, or something like that. So what is the nature of your reminders, and how do they exactly work here?
Thank you so much. Our reminders are not, they are friendly reminders, because remember, we're just playing a middle crowd here. These are friends, they know each other, these are colleagues, they work together. So we can't be as forceful as the loan apps. What we do is we just tell you, hey, remember, you owe Meshach 2,000 shillings, and you promised to pay in 5 days, so kindly remember to pay. So how we structure our reminders is, if you decide, depending on the period that you've said your refund, we'll remind you on the half of the time, telling you that now if it was, for example, 10 days, on the half of the time, which is the 5th day, we tell you in 5 days, you will be required to refund the 2,000 shillings that you got from Meshach. Then at the quarter time remaining, again, we said you another message starts to tell you, start preparing, because in 2 days you are supposed to refund Meshach's money. Then on the due day, we said you a reminder and tell you now it's today you need to pay Meshach's money. Then after that, when it's past due, in case you are not able to pay, we'll send you another reminder telling you that it's due. But even you yourself on the app, you are able to see how the time is running. Because the app has a timer. So the moment you take a loan, it starts counting down. How many days are left? How many minutes are left? How many seconds are left? So even when it goes overdue, of course the color will change to red. So you'll be able to see anything red is danger. It's overdue. So you're able to see how many days and all that. So we keep on reminding you until you pay. Then the person who gave you money can also initiate a reminder. So you can, apart from our own standard ones that you've created, you can also initiate a reminder, and you can also initiate a demand. For example, if it's quite a huge amount of money, legally you are supposed to send demands before you take this person to take any action. So we provide you with an option to make 2 demands, and then from there you can now have the contract. You have the contract, you have the demand, you have the messages. So once you present this to any legal place for intervention, you'll get your money back.
Amazing. And I think I'd want to build on that, just those amazing insights and the amazing app on the concept of, I think also I may be biased because I know I did some of the legal work for you, and you had this conversation around this contract should be enforced in a small claims and all that. So maybe someone is listening and wondering, okay, so and I also have experiences where I've given money to friends, but I will not share because this is a public video. But maybe someone is saying, okay, yes, we agreed at this point. Someone's person next needed 20,000. I gave him 20,000, and I sacrificed because you're friends from primary school. So, and someone decides, okay, I'm not paying, and the friendly reminders, they don't work. They just ignore them. They choose to ignore them, even they mute them and something like that. So this smart contract that they've signed, is it enforceable? Can someone go to a small claims court and then say, okay, now this person, we agreed this, now let's go to court, you need to pay me this. If we get a court, they get auctioned. And I'm okay with you throwing back this question because I know I also do a lot of your legal things. But just can someone, beyond the friendly reminders, can it be used at a point when, someone is the relationship, it's come to a tipping point and you need your money back, you need to use it,
Definitely what lacks right now is the tools that you can present evidence. Can you present evidence in court or even in your family dispute that I actually gave you money and this money was supposed to be refunded? As it is right now in Kenya, there's no solution that offers you that. If it's a mobile money transfer, what you'll get is a message. This message can be interpreted in a million ways. But now this one clearly indicates this was a support fund from my friend, and it was refundable, and it was supposed to be refunded this time. Number 2, it has a contract where you also signed. So this contract stipulates everything, the amount of money, when you're supposed to refund, everything, every details that you can. It's a complete legal document that you can present in small claims court, and I believe if it's more than 1 million shillings, you can also present it to any other legal mechanism that comes. Then you can also present it into the chief. Maybe if it's a little money, you can present it even to a chief or any other dispute that you can come up with, maybe as a family or something. So it's a good tool and it's an enforceable tool, not just by small claims court, but any other place where you need to get intervention.
Amazing. I think I want to touch on something that you mentioned. You said it's not expensive. I know Kenyans, you're very sensitive when it comes to our pockets and wallets. So when you say not expensive, what do you mean? What is the cost implication? Let's say I want to download HPaysa today. What is the cost? Will I pay for downloading the app? What will I be paying for? What will I not be paying for?
Okay, it's free to download. So you can download, sign up, register. It's free. Topping up the wallet, that is where now you will need to have the transaction fee, which is also very minimal. I think the details are available. We can share with the people. Then when you're moving money, that's giving you some money, and that is when now we have a 1% when you're moving the money to somebody else, and then when the money is coming back, again 1%. The 1% is basically to take care of all the services. That is the contract, the reminders, and all that you need to do. And for example, you can imagine somebody giving another 1,000 shillings. 1% is only 10 shillings. So legally, where will you get a contract of worth 10 shillings? Where will you get? Like, it's just too.
It's too good, but not too good to be true. Too good, but also true. Amazing. Yeah. So you mentioned bits about the cost implications and how that looks like, and And I think you've touched all around, I think, on the whole concept of what someone would expect in terms of costing. And I think it's important you mentioned that the app is free, that also the only thing that is being covered is that transaction cost and all that. And maybe we can just touch just briefly on something that people may be concerned. And also, I know it's something we've worked together on, the aspects of privacy. So let's say someone is afraid, I don't want the world to know my business. Outside here, I look good. Or let's use an example, I'm a wakili, full-on lawyer, and I am short of 2,000 shillings to refill my gas or something like that. Then I go and request something for someone for some money and all that. So I'm willing to maybe not want someone to know that I needed 2,000 at this point in time. So how safe, how private are the contracts? Are they accessible? Are they available to the public? Are they private? How safe is that information?
The contracts, let me start with the contract. Let me just go a little bit back. For you to ask money from someone or to let someone money, you must have connected. So you've created a tool where you first connect and you choose the category on which you want to connect. Is it family? Is it business? Is it colleague, or is it friends? So you choose. And then that is the only way you will be able to give somebody money. Okay. Then this contract or this conversation is happening just between you two. Nobody else has this information. The only information that will be available, which is also controlled, is on the rating, because you can be rated on how you're performing, how you're paying other people's friends, and this will also only be visible by people within your circle. So if I am friends with you, then people can see how I am doing and how I'm paying and all that. But it's just the rating. They'll just see whether it's risky, it's avoid, it's like, and it's trust. So they'll be able to know how many trust do I have, how many like do I have, how many avoid do I have, and how many risky do I have. And again, they have parameters. Okay. So you can't just be rated risky. Somebody cannot just come out there and come and rate you risky. The system has parameters. Do you meet these parameters to be a risky friend, or do you? So it has parameters in it.
Yeah, amazing. And I think just because of time, I'd also just want to find out about, you mentioned something about rating. So there's also you're creating some form of database that rates people based on the ability to repay loans and all that. Maybe I'm speaking from the lens of people, of maybe banks that may want to access that, or maybe it's the government, it wants to access that to be able to use to weigh fully, of course with the consent of the people who are there. So is that rating system available is it part of your plan to make it available, of course within the confines of the right to privacy, to banks and to companies and to governments that need that information to assess whether to give someone a loan or not?
Yeah, the plan is to have it available, not right now, after we built it for a while. And why we're doing this is because we want all Kenyans and everybody else to start from a clean, a blank check, right? A blank check of your own rating. And this is a rating that is not being done by institutions. This is a rating that's being done by friends, people who know you. I don't think there is any other data that is more reliable than the people that know you. So eventually we'll make it available, of course working with the central bank to either be registered as something that can be able to share that kind of data, maybe as a third party or something. But of course we have to adhere with the data privacy issues. So we don't want to break any laws. We try to share that information.
Okay, amazing. So as we sort of almost come to the close of our discussion, we interact, I think, from a point of legal, like if there's a point you needed some legal assistance at certain aspects with some processes, some licenses, and I think some contracts and different aspects that tie into this product. I think other also products that are related to this. So maybe I'd want to hear from you. Did you find the idea, the concept of getting a lawyer to help with certain requirements useful? Did it make life easier for you? Did the service that you offer help you? Did it move you to a place you wanted to be? Was it useful and was it valuable?
In our ecosystem, where we're doing innovation, it's pretty hard to get somebody who understands what a startup is or what an innovation is. So I think if you go to any contemporary lawyer, who probably is a criminal lawyer or just a normal civil lawyer, he might not really understand what you're talking about. But we needed somebody who could understand where we are coming from and who could understand the dynamics of what you're trying to build, because all our solutions are innovative, all of them. You'll not point out and say, we have this kind of a replica of a solution that you can borrow from. Everything is tailor-made. And we are happy for Masibo Law because it was easy to walk the journey with us. Some of the documents were extremely new. Some we didn't even know we need them. So it was a good thing. It was a good experience. And I think for every startup out there, especially the startups, if you don't start from the right footing, then you probably build something that will just be blocked next door by a legal process or a regulatory process. Yeah.
Amazing. I think as we wrap up, what also may be important to note, I think you also mentioned that you mentor startups. That's something that you do as well. So maybe to anyone who may be interested in mentorship, maybe you can mention how they can access you. If they can access you, you may have a lot on your table at the moment, but how can someone access you if they're interested in getting mentored, and how can they access you basically? Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, I do mentor startups, but I'm very particular on which kind of startup I would want to pick. I'll not just mentor anybody because also of the time limit that I have my own project, but I also want to see products that are, one, highly scalable, that are also innovative, and that are mentoring people who are willing to be mentored, because there are people who they know it all. They think their product is the best. They think their business model is the best. But where I do best or where I perform best is when it comes to business model and the product. So if you're designing a product, especially from scratch, building that concept, I really thrive well there, because from an innovative mind, I'm able to help you come with the right product, do your MVP, know which MVP are you going to do, so that you don't just keep on building something. I normally call it a development fatigue, where you develop until by the time you're coming to the market, you have no energy left, you have no resources left, you're just like a shell of a very wasted person. It happens so much. It has happened to me before. And I would not want somebody to go through that when I am able to help. So in terms of contact, maybe the email would work, and maybe the phone number. Somebody can reach me out. I do better with WhatsApp than calls, because at least with WhatsApp I can come back to you later. So my number is 0726 551 880. That one you drop I normally read my WhatsApp messages. At least I try. I might not read all of them, but at least I try to read all of them. And then the email, my email is fnjue@hpaysa.africa.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I think anyone who's interested in mentorship or just also partnership and collaboration and seeing how maybe they can partner with you, can access you through those platforms. Yeah, I think that brings us to the end of a very interesting conversation with Francis. It's been very interesting. So we've learned about HPaysa. Again, you can find it on Play Store at HPaysa, depending on how you want to pronounce it. It has a blue icon. It's the T-shirt that he's worn. Exactly. So you can find it, you can download it, you can use it to lend to people, you can use it to borrow from your friends, you can use it all of those platforms. Yeah, so this been episode 3 of Meet the Founder, and we've had Francis Njue as our third founder. We'll have other founders that are in future episodes, but thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, share.